All right, good evening. I'd like to bring the May 8th, 2025 Board of Selectmen meeting to order. And excellent. All right, we're going to start off tonight with Putnam Kidder, Recreation Director, to talk a little bit about the situation down at Elkins Beach with regards to the swings.
Good evening. My name is Putnam Kidder. I'm the Town Recreation Director. I'm presenting an update to you on the current status of the swings at Elkins Beach. The 4 swings and swing frame at Elkins Beach are in need of replacement. One of the center posts is rotted out at the base. The 5 other posts are still intact but are degrading. The swings were taken off last spring as a safety precaution. While exploring options for resolving this issue, I have consulted and gathered information from playground sales and construction companies, other recreation directors, town staff, and state and federal resources. The swings do not meet current ADA regulations or the New Hampshire law regarding play area surfaces. As a result of my research based on federal ADA regulations and definitions, replacing the swing frame and swings is considered an alteration. By making this alteration, the new structure would need to meet 2010 ADA regulations and New Hampshire law regarding play area surfaces. Putting in such a structure will require significant planning and expense. The location of the swings and the shoreland overlay district factors into any consideration of replacement as well. While gathering information on this situation, I have spoken with several playground sales and installation providers, and if the selectmen wish, I could present this information along with a more detailed analysis of options at a future date.
Okay, anybody want to start with any questions?
So Putnam, how long have you known that the structure was not sufficient or safe?
We knew that it was last spring in a preseason inspection, that it was not going to be usable, and we started the process of talking to playground companies and ADA and other resources in the fall.
So why don't you have this information now? I mean, it's been a year.
I have a fair amount of the information. It is complicated, and a lot of people interpret these different ways, and I'm trying my best to get the best information for the town moving forward with this project. I understand that it's been a long time.
Do you have an idea of what it would cost to replace that structure?
I've talked to some places and have some estimates. Like I said, I could share a later date. I've talked to a couple different places about quotes.
So basically, we're probably not going to get a structure down there before the season starts.
Depending on what the selectmen want to do for options, I think it would be unlikely, but depending on what the selectmen want to pursue for options, then something could be done sooner, but I think it's unlikely that anything is going to be done this summer, but there could be a chance that it could be done.
Thank you.
Putnam, are you thinking about replacing the whole entire playground, or are you just, why, or are you, let me put it that way, are you considering only replacing the swing set? Because, I'll have you answer that first, and then I'll keep.
So the swing set is damaged and unsafe.
Yeah,
So
I went down there today, took pictures of it.
So we need to address that issue.
Yeah.
And if you make, based on my research and analysis, when I've talked to many different resources federally in the state, other ADA resources, when you make an alteration on
A playground site?
a structure, then that most recent, that change should be brought up to 2010 ADA standards. There's also a
Right.
law in New Hampshire about playground surfaces.
Right, which is only on brand-new playgrounds built after January 1st, 2024. So this is not replacing the whole entire playground, we're just looking for a swing set.
I understand that.
Okay.
And it does say that it should meet ADA requirements.
The swing set.
Yes, but the New Hampshire law about playground surfaces does say that it should meet ADA requirements. And again, in my analysis of reviewing the ADA requirements, that if you make an alteration, then you need to bring it up to ADA requirements. This is, I'm bringing this to you to make these decisions, and I'm bringing some recommendations, some information that I've found through my research.
Rich, you got any questions?
Putnam, I understand you don't have firm price or anything, but can you give us a ballpark range as to what you're hearing in terms of the replacement of the swing set?
So I've heard one place said about $10,000, and we're talking about 4 swings. There are 4 swings down there. So $10,000. Another place said about $20,000. When you get into this new construction of play areas, you have to start to look at the ground underneath it. We have sand and dirt in and around the area. We also have an area where there's a tree close to it. And then if you go farther to the other side, on the back side of the swings, there are large pine trees that if we start to do lots of digging around, we could interrupt or get into some of those root systems, which could be tricky. But they talk about, they want to have a use zone, which is much larger than the use zone we have now.
Thank you.
So site work could be an additional thousands of dollars. And again, I think it's going to be really important to take into consideration the location of it so close to the lake, and thinking about what kind of materials would be used, how they would be contained, any potential runoff or anything like that.
Thank you.
Have you, has anybody talked to Primex about this?
We will, and Putnam brought that up. And once his research is done, they will come. They'll give us advice. They won't tell us what we can do. But I think Putnam is hitting the major points here. I mean, the ADA, as we all know, requires governments and public entities to come into compliance as soon as practical. Mm-hmm. This is completely taking down all of, from my understanding, there's not a single post that would remain. Right, so it's a clear, right. Like the bandstand, when you did the bandstand, we had to replace so much of it that we ended up having to put the ramp on, because it had to come into compliance because of the amount of work
update
we did.
That had to be done. So
Right,
because
and
of the swing set, then we have to bring the whole entire playground.
No, we're still only talking about the swing set. We're just talking about the swing set. From what I understand from Putnam, those other pieces of play equipment are in working condition. There's no need to replace them, so they can
If
stay.
they aren't ADA compliant?
Right, you can keep things. If this swing set was not rotted,
Right.
it could continue on. It's when things
Need to be
become.
replaced, they have
need
to
to
be.
be replaced. There are some ways to, impracticability, like the roots. I mean, the ADA wouldn't require you to dig into roots and ruin trees. So there could be some options to deal with those issues. But I think the main issue that Putnam is bringing up is that since it's the entire swing set that's coming down, and you're not just fixing one post,
Yep.
the entire thing is coming down. So that brings on more requirements. And I think, and obviously, we do want play equipment as safe as possible. So it's not like we look for ways to get out of requirements that are designed to help, to bring up the safety and to make it more accessible. The accessible route,
Yep.
pathway to get there is also a challenge, because that area. And
Yeah.
so, there's challenges there as well.
Is it possible just to take that structure down now? Because it's heartbreaking to see little kids running over there, getting excited to get on the swings, and there's no swings there.
That could be an option we could explore to.
Because it can't be used, right?
Mm-hmm.
So might as well just take it down, and then, I don't know. Just a thought. Do either of you have any other questions?
No, I think probably at this point, it would be a good idea to take it down. And I imagine that that's something that our Department of Public Works could do. I wouldn't necessarily think we should recommend they build another one, but I think that this one should probably be removed. And based on what I've experienced with the residents of Elkins in the past, I think we better be real sure before we put anything up that might impact the vista to the lake, so.
Yep, and should we ask Putnam to come back with some estimates on putting in a new swing set?
I think that would be good, yeah.
Okay. I guess
So I
that-
will come back with estimates
Yes,
for
please.
a new swing set
Yeah,
and any associated site work that might need to be done down there. And I have been already talking with Adam Ricker and Planning and
with
Zoning about.
regards to the
regards
shoreline.
to- Yes, and as Kim mentioned, there is a part that you can do an exemption or a kind of, not an exemption, but a
Waiver.
alteration that if it's structurally impractical to meet the utmost level of the accessibility requirements, then we would have to prove that we were doing what we could in the area based on the space we have and the restrictions we have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Putnam. Okay, next on the agenda is the adoption of the Selectmen's Rules of Procedure. Rich, you asked last time if you could have some time to review that.
Yes, I did, and I think they're fine.
Excellent.
Bibi, did you want to do public comments first, or?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Yes, anybody have any public comments for anything that is not on the agenda? Okay. Go ahead.
I had 2 questions, but now I have 3. My first question, okay, is, thank you. I'm Mag Francis from the charming little suburb of New London called Elkins. My first question is, what mechanism do we have in place on an ongoing basis for the school district to inform the select board of what's going on, specifically as it relates to capital investments?
Well, we have one select board member here who sits on the municipal budget committee for the school district, but also the school board reps, we did hear from one, and he does want to come and speak to us at one of our meetings, so we're getting that on an upcoming agenda, and they can do that at any time.
That's good, because they're about to start doing public outreach relative to capital expenditures, and my guess is you all might want to know.
We know.
Before that happens. And my second question is, and it has to do with something that Putnam has said, is the work that we're doing to assess all of our town facilities, does it include all of the things like swings, or is it just physical buildings?
Physical structures.
So do we feel comfortable, Putnam, that all the other sort of recreational things that we have are sort of good for the next 3 to 5 years?
I think part of what we do is always assess where the status of all of our facilities are. So we're constantly looking at things and making sure that they are safe and that they're in working order. So I'm constantly taking a look at things that we have to make sure that they're safe and that they're working, and that if we need to replace something, we'll look at the time we need to replace it in. But I think it is a good thing to have a plan to look at the whole, all these things that, we sometimes think about the building and then maybe don't think about other things like the playground or things like that. So I think it's a good opportunity to really dig into all the things we have and keep them up to shape and keep them safe. And if we have a plan for their replacement, do that.
That would be great.
That assessment management plan report they were waiting for, that was an audit of 33 different town-owned structures, so I assume that also includes the buildings down at the two beaches.
Yeah,
right?
bathhouses
So
would be
any
included.
shed and
Yeah,
anything.
bathhouses, but swing sets, play areas.
Yep.
The boards, the kayaks, all those things are important. The swim lines, Putnam replaces swim lines, all those things have a separate look. It's not in this asset management plan, but all staff, vehicles, equipment are the department head's responsibility. And that's how this came to light. Putnam was doing his spring check on equipment and realized that it wasn't safe.
And then my third question relates to that, and it has to do with where are we with respect to moving forward on a longer-term strategic plan and financial plan for the town?
We're going to focus right now on next week's town meeting, and after that, we'll be addressing that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, back to rules of procedure. So I could take a motion to accept the rules of procedure. Okay,
Second.
all right, all in favor? Aye. Okay. New business, adoption of finance policy. So Lynn, you're going to talk us through these?
Sure. So these are policies that are already in place. The auditors have recommended that every 3 to 5 years you review them and make sure that they're still applicable and then just re-adopt them. I've given you the shift differential, training differential, fund balance policy, police special detail revolving fund, recreation revolving fund, and recycling revolving fund. These are the ones that are due at this point. The fund balance policy and the 3 revolving funds, there's been no change on the policy from the previous adoption. The training differential and shift differential, I did change the amount because based on the budget that was approved for 2026, those amounts are going to go up to the $3. So that's reflected in this. So that's kind of it. If you guys have questions about specific policies or.
I honestly didn't have a chance to look these over, so
Okay.
I'm going to ask if maybe we can bring these back to at our next meeting, if that's okay? Okay.
Yeah, that works for me.
I'm sure they're fine, but
Okay, thank you.
awesome. Okay, next, reappointment of the health officer.
So, the Select Board recommends a person to be appointed as the health officer. The state of New Hampshire actually appoints this person. So I recommend that you reappoint Nick Bayer, who's been our health officer probably since 2019 or 2020. Since COVID, yes, that's correct. Poor guy. Roped him in right around that time. And I think it was your idea. And I'd also like to recommend that you consider Sam Clark for the deputy. I'm currently the deputy, and so obviously I won't be around, but I think also, even if I was going to be here, I think Sam's a good choice. He is well-versed in all things wastewater. Part of the responsibilities of the health officer is to do site test pit inspections, and so and Sam is willing to do it. So I think that would be great. And sometimes when Nick is not available, the deputy has to step up and do some inspections. And obviously, both the health officer and the deputy work closely with town administrator, and it could be other departments that they may need to work with. So I think it would be good if Sam was on board, and obviously Nick's been doing an awesome job, so I would recommend you reappoint him.
Okay. Do either of you have any questions? Rich, do you have any questions about the health officer position or anything?
How much do we pay the health officer each year?
$5,000, it's a stipend position like the welfare officer.
And the deputy health officer, what would be the stipend for that?
0.
I don't have, and
He's a paid employee, and like
Right.
me, and that's why it's
Right.
0. If it was somebody else, I think a stipend would be appropriate.
would you mind just quickly going over, Kim, what are the sorts of things that Nick does?
Okay, so one of the main things is, as I mentioned, observing test pits. New London is one of the few towns that requires a visual inspection of a test pit before a plan can go to the state for a septic system. He also inspects homes for foster placement of children, inspects daycares. He does water sampling, so when we have outbreaks of cyanobacteria at the lakes, he's right on that. He'll take tests, bring the samples to Concord or have them brought to the Concord. So anything health-related, sometimes we'll get complaints about housing that people feel, especially rentals, if they feel that it's not up to health codes. He was instrumental in getting the septic ordinance or regulation that was recently adopted, so he'll be involved with that. So pretty much anything you can think of that's health-related would be Nick. And he works in conjunction, obviously, with the Selectmen, because it's the Selectmen and the health officer that make up the Board of Health for the town.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so can I have a motion, please, to reappoint Nicholas Bear as the health officer? Okay, all in favor? Aye. And then may I also have a motion to appoint Sam Clark as the deputy health officer? All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Next, we have the town administrator report.
We are just finishing up with the committee appointments, hearing from people who are requesting reappointments to the board, so we'll be ready to bring to you at the next meeting reappointments of the various boards and committees. You have an invitation from the Newbury Conservation Commission. They're looking for you to join them on May 19th at 6 p.m., and this is continuation of the conversation about the Mount Sunapee parking lot expansion. I want to remind everybody we're gearing up for the town meeting 2.0, which is going to be Wednesday, and I think it's going to be very exciting to be at the Hogan Center, and hope everybody can go. I think it may be a place that the town will use in the future. As you get more and more voters, being able to seat 1,000 people in one room is really going to be good. So I hope everybody turns up, even though it's only 2 articles and it's maybe not as exciting as having 18 or 19 articles. I think it's going to be worth coming, so hopefully everybody goes to that. That's all I have.
Okay. All right, any committee meetings for either of you? You had planning board.
Monday, not that I'm on the committee, but Monday I went to a water precinct meeting, and the main topic of conversation was the fact that there has been an increase in water usage, and the water precinct doesn't know what's causing it, so they're trying to determine if there's a leak or what's going on, but it's a significant amount of water that's being used that wasn't used a year ago. So that was probably the biggest thing. And then last night or 2 nights ago, there was a joint zoning and planning board meeting regarding the lights at Colby Sawyer College for the Sally Beach Field. I think I'm forgetting one name here. Anyway, so the poles are going to be 80 feet high, and when they were first proposed, we didn't realize that they were going to be taller than our 35-foot limit. So the zoning board granted a variance, and then the planning board approved the site plan. So it's all going forward. So that was it.
Excellent. Okay, I had a bicycle and pedestrian committee meeting on April 24th. The committee is now sort of looking for ways to keep going with their efforts without a budget. And they're fully aware of the challenges that the town is facing, so we had a lot of really good conversations about what we can do in the short term. So two things came out of that. They sort of created a smaller group called Walkable New London Initiative, and this is a group of couple people on the committee, and they've invited some people from town that are really interested in seeing Main Street be, have it be a lot more walkable for pedestrians, kind of going along with our sidewalk plan. They're talking about mapping out some walking loops and the possibility of having maps available, like a QR code at the info booth with these maps on the website that will take somebody to our website to see suggested loops that will connect in with the trailheads around town too. So they're talking to the Conservation Commission as well and trying to put that all together. So it was really good. I've got a couple of questions for Adam and Sam that I need to follow up on. And then the other thing we talked about was the Strawberry Festival and how we can get more awareness of this committee and what they're trying to do. So they've met with Putnam, they're gonna have a table set up during Strawberry Fest, and, you know, the committee members will man the table. Grant Smith would like to do he had an idea about doing something with bicycles, like fixing up bicycles and then donating them out to people, and then having a area where he could fix bicycles and things like that. We can't do as much as Grant wants to do, but we're going to try to have some information there and plan ahead for the future of some sort of a bike swap thing that this committee can do. So anyway, you know, it's a great group of people, and they're all very passionate about their interests. So that was that. And then, as you all know, we attended the Citizens Committee meeting, and you all reviewed the mission statement that I drafted up, and Kim sent that out to John and the members of the committee. So we're just waiting for them to respond with any feedback. That's it. All right. Meeting minutes. So we're approving the minutes from April 17th and April 23rd. Do either of you have any changes? They're good minutes, good. Did Casey do her first set?
I think we have Casey and Vicky. I split it up and share the fun. Howard knows about that.
Yep, they look great. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes for April 17th and April 23rd? All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay. So upcoming meetings, next Selectmen's meeting, Thursday, May 22nd. Town meeting, redo, Part 2, May 14th at 6 p.m. Planning Board, May 13th. Board of Fireworks, May 19th. The Town Clerk and Tax Collector Office will be closed on Wednesday, May 21st. And also the town offices will be closed on Memorial Day, Monday, May 26th. Have a couple of other meetings here. And we're going to, I need a motion to go into non-public, right? A motion to go into non-public for the reasons under RSA 91-A:3 to Section A, B, and D. Can I have a motion? All in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you.